Hello everyone and welcome to my YouTube channel. Watch my video and subscribe my channel. I got you, Luna! After learning the truth, Will grabbed Luna's hair and took her to the police station. I've got you, Luna! The bold and the beautiful mega spoiler saga. The night in Los Angeles was humid, the kind of thick summer air that clung to the skin and weighed down even the most determined heart. And Will Spencer's heart had been through enough storms to feel like it would collapse under the pressure of the secret he had recently discovered. The streets were slippery from the previous rain, with streetlights creating faint golden halos upon the glistening asphalt as if taunting him with their peaceful constancy, while the storm inside his chest raged like a hurricane. He had confronted Luna Nozawa, the woman who had twisted his life, the woman who had worn the guise of tenderness and fragility, the woman who seemed to be a savior while covertly orchestrating his greatest humiliation. He had trusted her, supported her, and even gone against his own instincts to protect her from gossip, only to uncover a truth so poisonous that every beautiful moment became a shard of glass piercing through his memories. And tonight, after days of private investigation, after poring over security footage, cross-checking timelines, following the strange little inconsistencies in her stories, and finally catching her in the act with undeniable evidence, he grabbed her, literally grabbed her, his fingers clutching her silky dark hair as her eyes widened in both pain and shock, and marched her toward the flashing red and blue lights, waiting at the end of the street. "I got you, Luna!" he growled beneath his breath, the words of a man compelled to act as his own avenger, since no one else would hold her accountable. Luna staggered, her fancy heels clacking unevenly on the wet pavement, and her voice rose in a wild, almost feral level as she attempted to squirm free of his hands. "Will, stop! You do not comprehend. It's not as you think." But Will understood. Too much, in fact. He had pieced together the puzzle from the night of deception, when she claimed to be someone she wasn't, the night that had shattered his love with Electra Forrester and cast him as the villain in a play he hadn't written. Electra had wept herself to sleep for weeks because of what Luna had set in motion, and Will had been made to feel like a betrayer, a callous cheat, when in reality he had been drugged, fooled, and used as a pawn. Now, under the glaring light of the streetlights, the tables had been turned, and Luna was the one being hauled through the court of public shame. Neighbors peered through windows. A couple on the sidewalk lingered to observe, and someone even lifted their phone to video, whispering, "Is that Will Spencer? Oh my God, it's Luna Nozawa." At the precinct, everything happened in a blur. Paperwork, statements, the click of a camera light for the mugshot that would soon be leaked online, the chilly steel clang of the cell door. Will stood there, teeth tight, hands quivering not from fear, but from the emotional shock of seeing someone he had once kissed, someone who had murmured promises in the dark, now sitting on a seat behind bars, her hands folded in her lap like a schoolgirl awaiting detention. He wanted to despise her, and part of him did, but another, a darker, more convoluted part, felt the agony of a man who had lost something intangible, the illusion of trust. The bold and the beautiful had witnessed numerous betrayals, but this one stood out because Luna had utilized his own vulnerabilities as a weapon, rather than just deceiving him. Days led into nights as the fallout played out. Electra Forrester raced into the Spencer home, her blonde hair reflecting the light like a halo of vengeance. "Did you know, Will? Did you realize it was her that night? Did you pretend not to?" she demanded, her voice trembling beneath the strain of her own broken innocence. Will could only shake his head, the tiredness of the conflict evident in the slump of his shoulders. "Electra, I didn't know. I swear to you, I had no idea until I found the tape from the promotion party. She traded places with you. She wants to ruin us." Then came the big question. Why? Why would Luna do this? Was it jealousy? Is this a perverted feeling of entitlement? Or was there a broader conspiracy, one that went into the shadows of the Forrester and Spencer family feud, perpetrated by someone older, colder, and more calculating? The police interrogation uncovered elements of a motive. Luna spoke of pressure from her mother, Poppy, who had always wanted to see her succeed and saw Will's rising prominence in Spencer publications as the perfect opportunity. There were rumors of debts, threats, and a mysterious benefactor who promised to make things right for the Nozoas if Luna could get close enough to the Spencer heir. The name Rana came up, Luna's putative twin, the one the family had buried in rumors and denial, the one Lee Finnegan once whispered in hushed tones before immediately retracting. Could it be that Rana, not Luna, had been the true mastermind? Or, worse, had Luna used that name to create confusion, a typical Carter and Quinn diversion strategy? When the case made headlines, Los Angeles became a powder keg. Steffi Forrester addressed to the media, describing Luna as a dangerous manipulator who preyed on family trust, while Hope Logan, ever the reluctant empath, implored the audience not to jump to conclusions. "We don't know all the facts yet," she whispered gently on the steps of Forrester Creations, her gaze drawn to Liam, who stood silently behind her, his thoughts plainly elsewhere, tormented by his own past of deception and betrayal. Bill Spencer, on the other hand, was a one-man storm. He banged his fists onto the table in the Spencer boardroom. "I gave the girl a chance. I offered my house, resources, and protection, and this is how she repays us? By attempting to damage my son's life." His voice boomed through the corridors, a growl of both paternal wrath and the old vicious tycoon who had built an empire on betrayal and power struggles. Then came the trial, weeks of testimony, intense cross-examination, and tears shed on the witness stand. Luna attempted to claim that she had been duped, that Will had been a willing participant, and that Electra was exaggerating the harm, but the evidence, damning footage, intercepted messages, and a DNA test confirming her pregnancy, provided a different image. Yes, Luna was pregnant and the child was Will's, conceived that fateful night after the party, under circumstances now tainted by deception. The judge's gavel came down hard. Community service, required therapy, and a restraining order prohibiting her from seeing the Spencers until further notice. However, this was the bold and the beautiful, so nothing remained quiet for long. Rumors circulated that Lee Finnegan had intervened behind the scenes, pulling strings to keep Luna out of jail, possibly by forging certain documents, as she had done with Finn's death before. Is Luna truly regretful, or is this just another layer of manipulation to keep her tied to the Spencer fortune? Meanwhile, whispers about Rana got louder. A mystery woman matching Luna's description was observed near the courthouse, with darker hair and a colder look. Some say she grinned as the sentence was read. Will, scarred but unbroken, made a pledge on the courthouse steps. "I will raise my child, but I will never let you, Luna, Rana, whoever you are, twist my life again." Electra, torn between the remnants of her love and the shards of her pride, whispered only 6 words before leaving the scene. "I can't forgive what you allowed." And thus a new chapter began, Will as a reluctant father, Luna as a pariah with a possible second identity, Electra as the wounded but fiery heir to a legacy of betrayal, and the Forresters and Spencers once again caught in the crossfire. From that rainy night when Will's hand fisted in Luna's hair to the months of fallout that followed, the saga of I Got You, Luna became more than a scandal. It became a reckoning, a story of how one deceptive night could ripple through generations, unearthing old grudges, exposing secret twins, testing marriages, and forcing even the most powerful families in Los Angeles to confront their own complicity in creating monsters out of the people they claimed to love. In the weeks following the trial, the city appeared to buzz with an unusual electricity. Gossip sites devoured it like vultures, talk programs dissected it like surgeons, and inside the hallowed walls of Forrester Creations and Spencer Publications, rumors evolved into open combat. Brooke Logan, eternally the queen of selective empathy, suggested to Ridge that Will had gone too far. "She is still just a girl, Ridge." Ridge, divided between protecting his daughter Steffi's family reputation and his disgust for Bill Spencer's ruthless methods, could only shake his head. "Brooke, this is not about pity. This is about repercussions." Luna crossed a boundary. She not only deceived Will, but she set off a chain reaction that is tearing this entire community apart. Meanwhile, Bill wasn't finished. Despite the fact that the judge's punishment provided legal closure, Bill Spencer believed the ruling was too lenient. Community service? Therapy? A slap on the wrist. He snarled at Justin Barber over a late-night bourbon in his private office. She almost wrecked my son. She treated him as a pawn. She may even have a double out there working in the shadows, pulling strings like a bad Sheila Carter look-alike. No, Justin, this is not over. Not by a long shot. Justin, the consummate planner, leaned forward with that predator's glitter in his eyes. So, what's the deal, Dollar Bill? What about public exposure? Or private leverage? Bill's answer was as cold as the ice cubes swirling in his glass. Both. Across town, Luna sat in a darkly lit motel room, the court's decision hanging over her like a noose. The sound of rain on the window, a harsh reminder of the night she lost control of her narrative. The pregnancy test remained on the nightstand. 2 pink lines, undeniably visible. Poppy called twice a day, her voice a combination of maternal anxiety and transactional calculating. We can solve it, Luna. Marry him. Or at least get the backing. You're carrying a Spencer heir. For God's sake, don't waste that leverage. However, Luna's eyes had hardened. It is not leverage, Mother. It is a child. And it's the result of a mistake you drove me into. Poppy's sigh on the other end of the line was long and tired, colored with memories of 1,000 such fights from her own adolescence. And then, just as the scandal was about to die down, Rana appeared. She started off as a whisper, a shadow in a hospital corridor where Bridget Forrester thought she saw Luna, but couldn't explain the chill in her gaze. A security camera captured her entering a Spencer building late at night, only to disappear before the guards could question her. When Will saw the first fuzzy image, his blood raced cold. That's her. Or it's Luna. No, that can't be Luna. She was with her probation officer that night. Could Lee Finnegan have organized this? Is this the twin she attempted to bury? Or was Luna playing 2 roles? Tricking the city into believing in a ghost to purchase time? Electra Forrester, still nursing her pride and a failed engagement, was dragged back into the vortex against her better judgment. She'd moved out of Will's orbit, dated a few meaningless guys, and immersed herself in Forrester designs. But every time she closed her eyes, she remembered that night. Luna's perfume on Will's collar, the damaged look in his eyes when he claimed he hadn't deceived her on purpose. So, when Bill approached her with an idea to expose Rana, she didn't hesitate. If there is a twin, we will find her. If there isn't, we force Luna to confess. It was a risky alliance, with the Forresters whispering about Electra becoming her grandfather Eric's granddaughter in every merciless way. The culmination occurred on a moonless night when Will, armed with new proof and a chilly, tired resolve, confronted Luna once more, this time with sorrowful finality rather than wrath. "You wanted to destroy me," he continued, hovering over her as she packed her belongings in the same hotel room. "You intended to wear my name as armor and leave me bleeding. But here's the truth, Luna, I've got you. And I'll always get you. Not because I despise you, but because I refuse to raise my child in a world where falsehood reigns supreme." Luna's eyes glistened, yet her lips curled into a smile that sent shivers down his spine. "Maybe you caught me tonight, Will, but you don't know who I truly am." From that point forward, the story became less about a single scandal and more about a war between families' identities, ghosts of the past, and the futures they were frantically attempting to rewrite. Hope and Steffi found themselves on opposing sides of the debate. Bridget and Finn began quietly re-examining the medical records surrounding Luna's pregnancy and her alleged twin. And somewhere in the city, Rana, or Luna pretending to be Rana, watched it all unfold with a satisfaction that felt ancient. It was no longer a question of justice. It was a question of legacy. Who will raise the Spencer heir? Who will alter the story first? And how many more secrets needed to be revealed before the City of Angels, once again drenched in scandalous neon, could finally rest The city had stopped whispering and began watching. "I got you, Luna" was no longer just a phrase. It had become a cultural phenomenon, emblazoned across newspapers, whispered in Spencer publications' break rooms, and discussed on fashion blogs and gossip podcasts. Will Spencer had become a reluctant symbol of vengeance, wrapped in heartbreak, while Luna Nozawa had become a cautionary tale, a name associated with dishonesty and wild ambition. However, as the surface calmed, the undercurrents became stronger, drawing everyone involved in the story into a vortex that no PR or spin doctor could reverse. Will had changed. There was no mistaking it. The boyish charm that had made him the darling of Spencer's emerging leadership now had a chilly edge. He stopped going to after-parties, stopped laughing at Carter Walton's smooth banter, and even stopped answering Hope Logan's texts when she reached out with delicate worry. Instead, he focused on what was really important: Luna's unborn child. "It's not about her anymore," he told Bill during one of their few unguarded evenings on the ancient Spencer cliffside home. "It is about the kind of world my child will enter. Do I want my son or daughter to grow up in a city where manipulation prevails? Or have I let fear determine my decisions?" Bill, swirling his bourbon, said nothing, knowing the answer was both. Meanwhile, Luna did her role, or possibly three. To the probation officer, she was the epitome of contrition, timely, pleasant, and helpful. To Poppy, she was the bitter daughter, full of accusations about being pulled into a trap. But in the shadows, beneath the flickering fluorescent lights of a dingy downtown cafe, she was someone altogether else. She met Rana, a woman in a black cloak whose similarity was enough to chill any witness. No one has officially confirmed the twins. Lee Finnegan's twin, formerly described as a tragic loss in infancy, is now very much alive, her eyes glinting with a predator's serenity. "You're sloppy," Rana commented, stirring her coffee without looking up. "Being dragged by her hair like a schoolgirl? Make yourself a martyr? That is not how we intended it." Luna clenched her jaw. "I didn't plan to fall for him." A pause. Rana twisted her lips into a grin. "Did you fall for him, or for what he represented? Power makes people dumb, little sister. Don't let it render you irrelevant." With that, the twin dynamic was no longer speculation, but an empire of chaos poised to erupt. Electra Forrester, for her part, had begun to wear her sadness like armor. The girl who once believed in great romantic gestures now prefers a chilly strategy. She sided with Bill not because she trusted him. She knew better than to trust a Spencer, but because their goals were similar: expose Luna, secure the child's proper destiny, and keep the Forrester name from being forever linked to this scandal. But late at night, in the Forrester guest house, she found herself poring at old images of Will, wondering whether love had been collateral damage in an ego conflict.